Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, they want you to believe that the Democrats are shutting down the government, which I said it's a crazy sort of mind trick, right? A gaslighting of the country and you by trying to pretend we have no power. It is the Democrats' fault. Even now, if it was a Democrats doing this on the other way, I would say, well, look, you guys are in charge. So it's a lie that Democrats are shutting down the government. Republicans control the House, Republicans control the Senate, Republicans control the White House, they control the courts, they have power, but they try to tell you that it's someone else's fault. And what's their excuse this time? Wait till you get to their excuses. And this is the personal story that I have that I'm going to tell you. And I wonder, like, what am I going to bring the lemon heads every day? What am I going to bring the Lemon Nation and the people who are watching every day? What will I tell them that's different from the day before? Well, everything is personal. Everything is relatable to your life. And so I want this to relate to your life as a human being every single day. And that's what I try to bring to you. So what's the excuse this time, or the excuses this time for not wanting to work with Democrats, wanting to shut down the government? They say it is about health care for illegals. That is a flat out lie. They say it's about transgender kids in sports. Now, what do transgender kids in sports have to do with continuing to fund the government? The Democrats aren't asking for anything that has to do with health care for illegals or for transgender kids in sports. And now just remember that people who are here who are undocumented, some people want to call them illegals as they do, undocumented people, many of them pay into the healthcare system, or they pay taxes, they pay into the system, and then they get none of the benefits of it. So this isn't about illegals or transgender kids in sports. They have turned a fight about healthcare subsidies into a culture war sideshow. They have turned a fight about Medicare, Medicaid, healthcare subsidies into a culture war sideshow. So I want to be clear. Democrats are asking for pretty much one thing, and that's to keep the Affordable Care Act tax credits that help millions of Americans pay for healthcare. Republicans and Democrats. Everybody. That's what this is about. This is about providing health care for Americans. If I was there, I'd be like, yeah, of course, I want everybody to have health care. That's what this is about. It's not about undocumented immigrants. It's not about basketball or track or swimming. There's no evidence, none, that this fight is about health care for undocumented people. That is a smokescreen. And yet, that's what Trump and Vance are selling today. Maga, Trump, Vance, Johnson, all of them. That's what they're selling today. Healthcare for illegals, boys and girls sports. That's what they're telling you the shutdown is about. And when I listen to it, I'm like, are they serious? And then I say, yeah, they are serious, because remember, that was one of, if not the most successful political ads, was the ads that those anti-trans ads that elevated transgender people and transgender sports into something that is just completely way out of proportion to the very minuscule number of transgender people in this country. So think about that. They are all willing to crash the government, to furlough workers, to stall paychecks and gut services, all to cover up the fact that they do not want you to keep your health care affordable. Did you hear what I said? They're doing all of this to cover up the fact that they do not want you to keep your health care affordable. How fucked up is that? Aren't they supposed to be about the working class people? Average, everyday people. Rich people don't have to worry about that. They can afford, if something happens, they can afford health care. Most of them have it already anyways. And while they turn people into scapegoats, real lives are in danger. I know, because this is my story. I spoke to one, okay? And so I don't want to identify anyone, but there was a transgender person that I interviewed on the streets. And they contacted me in a panic, asking me to take the video down. Why did they do it? Because since that video went up, they have been bombarded with harassment and threats. This person approached me on the streets, was very willing, saying, we're in a dangerous place. I want to speak out about blah, 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 blah. And now this person is being bombarded with harassment and threats. I've seen some of the messages. Some of the messages that say, wannabe women, your kind is going to hell. If I ever see you, I'll beat the shit out of you. I saw the text, some of the text messages and the threats, and I spoke to the person. This person is 20 years old. This person is terrified. Called me last night, or I called them last night, and they told me that they are scared of possibly losing their job. They're scared of being ostracized in their own community. They are hearing from old classmates attacking them on Facebook, strangers threatening them in their DMs. And I got to tell you the truth about this. I was heartbroken after that call, after reading those panicked messages. That stayed with me all night. So that's why I'm bringing this to you, to let you know that these things have real life effects. Don, Mr. Lemon, I'm so worried about, I need my job. And what if my boss is conservative? Can you please take it down? It's just too much. I can't, it's affecting my mental health. And I'm afraid, these death threats, I'm really afraid. And I'm not exaggerating. Because unless you have experienced this kind of hate, unless you've experienced it up close, you don't really know what it feels like. That's always someone else you hear about. Oh yeah, getting threats, huh? Wow. But unless you have experienced this type of hate close up, you don't really know what it feels like. You don't know the weight it puts on someone, the fear, the isolation, the humiliation of being targeted for just existing. Now imagine, we all have something, right? But imagine that you are being humiliated and threatened just because of your existence. And that's what makes this moment so sick right now. Trump and Vance and Johnson are not just talking politics. This is not just politics here. They're turning people into targets. They are using trans Americans as punching bags in their culture war. And the result is that a kid who trusted me to answer a question on the street is now fearing for their safety. That's fucked up. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. What's happening in Washington right now is in no way a debate about fairness in sports. It's not about that. This is a machine that takes vulnerable people and then feeds them to the mob. It should shame everyone involved, but I guess they have no shame. And this is my theme overall. America, are you okay? White men, are you okay? Maga, are you okay? Donald Trump, are you okay? Do you understand what you're doing, that you are putting people's lives in jeopardy? And I see you, Saint Sosa Grands, in the chat. Thank you for your support. Disabled Black trans veteran, broken but survived. We see you. And thank you for your support. It should be a shame for all of them, but I don't think they have any shame. But karma's a bitch. You just wait and see. Sometimes karma wakes people up. Do you remember Liz Cheney had an whole evolution after her sister came out to her? So did Dick Cheney. Watch. One of these people is going to have a trans kid. Mark my words. But they're not ashamed. Instead, the silence continues in some. So they're speaking out about these transgender people, but then the silence continues over this shooter in Michigan. This is the hypocrisy of all of this. I mean, can you imagine if that shooter had said something about being pro-liberal or anti-Trump or anti-MAGA? Oh my gosh, you couldn't. Caroline Levitt would be on every single program, every single Fox show from the briefing room speaking out. Every MAGA Republican would be talking about this is an attack on conservative issues by the libs. And guess what? Crickets right now. In Michigan, a man drives his truck into a Mormon church. He sets it on fire. He opens fire. You know the story. I told you yesterday. He wore a Trump 2024 Make Liberals Cry shirt. He had a Trump sign in his yard. According to neighbors and people who knew him, he called Mormons the Antichrist. Now, that doesn't sound random to me. That is political violence fueled by rhetoric, like blaming trans people for the government shutdown. But on this one, in Michigan, Republican leaders say nothing. The big loud mouths that are always out there talking about the Christians and you just I'm a Christian and you can't and you're fighting and I am conservative and you're a lib. That all of that. Nothing. Crickets. Deflection. Let's talk about anything other than the political violence that is mostly perpetrated. Most of the perpetrators are right-wing, far right-wing zealots. From what I said yesterday, white men. Are you okay? And why are you so quiet today about Michigan? Where's all your rhetoric, all your bullshit about the owning the libs and the libs are responsible? Where's all that shit? And while this is all happening, Pete Hegseth is on stage in Washington giving pep talks to generals, as if generals need pep talks. Pete Hegseth, I got another personal story. A lawmaker who is a Republican called me this morning. I swear, I kid you not. Well, actually, I'm wrong about that. Called me yesterday. I didn't see the call. I woke up to a missed call. You know, it's red missed. And I said, oh, wow, this is a lawmaker in Washington. I need to call him back. Hey, man, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. We started talking. And I said, what do you think of what Pete Hegseth is doing to these generals? He goes, what's really interesting to me, Don, is that Pete Hegseth could not get above a certain rank because he could not pass the test. And now he's on stage cosplaying a military leader. And he said, no one talks about how Pete Hegseth did not have the goods, did not have the stamina, did not have the mental and physical wherewithal to be able to get above a certain rank, to get to that next rank that would possibly even put him or make him qualified for a leadership position. Couldn't do it. But yet you have the nerve to talk about merit when the person who's in charge of the Defense Department in the United States can't even get to a certain rank, couldn't get past a lower rank. Come on, bruh. This isn't about merit. This is DEI for white men. Your definition of DEI. Pete Hegseth says that he wants to strip ideology out of the Pentagon while he's spewing ideology from the podium. He's ending advisory panels for women in the military while he calls himself a warrior. I think that the person who said to me is like, who the Republican lawmaker said, he's always talking about lethality and about being a warrior when he couldn't even get to that level that would make you a warrior in the military. He looks like a boy in his father's uniform, pretending to be a leader while sounding like a parody. It is embarrassing. And everybody can see it. Everybody can see it. The Republicans see it. They know it. The MAGA folks know it. They will never admit it because they're kissing up to Donald Trump. They're embarrassed by Pete Hegseth. You're an embarrassment. This is where we are right now. A government that's on the brink of a collapse, a president sending troops into American cities, unleashing ICE in broad daylight, leaders blaming healthcare subsidies on immigrants and trans kids. A trans 20-year-old getting death threats because they spoke the truth on camera to me on an American street with their American citizenship right to free speech, First Amendment, and they're getting death threats because they spoke the truth. A church in Michigan burned and shot up by a man wearing the president's name on his chest. It's all connected. All of it. It's all the same rot. And so if you're asking yourself, what is this really about? What is it about every single time? Here is your answer, okay? Here's your answer. It's the same play on repeat. They invent a crisis, then they name a scapegoat, right? This time it's trans kids, it's the Dems, it's illegals. They break something on purpose. Then they blame the powerless for the pain. And finally, they step in and call themselves the only one strong enough to fix it. It's a trick. It's a strategy. So that's the bottom of it right there. That is the pattern. That is what all of this is. Every single time, chaos as strategy, power through division. And here's the other truth. This is the other truth that the producers just spoke to me about before we started the show. But this is the other truth. Democrats feel locked out of power in their own government right now. Their constituents, the people who can't stand the Trump agenda, they don't want compromise right now. They don't want a polite folding of the hands. They want a fight. They want strength. They want proof that someone will stand on the line and say, nope, no more, nope, not going to do that. They want strength right now. And I'm hearing a whole lot of people, even Republicans, are saying to me, shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Just because they want the Democrats to show some chutzpah. That's the difference this time. This fight is not just about tax credits or appropriations or healthcare. It is about whether Democrats can finally show the country that they have the backbone to defend their voters. In a way, it's about the soul of the Democratic Party itself. So this morning, let's just say it as plainly as possible. The government is about to shut down because the people in charge chose it. The violence in Michigan is part of the culture that they built. The harassment of a young trans person is part of the culture that they built. The circus at the Pentagon is part of the culture that they built. The troops in the streets, part of the culture they built. America, are you okay? Are you awake? Because if you sleep through this, they will do it again and again and again. Is that what you want? Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts.
You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.